Hey, 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 welcome back to my channel. My name is Leslie.
Then you have magic.
So welcome in
Here, you would get it.
everyone. I'm not gonna say the name of every single person. But I see you, 𝗀𝗁𝐿, Sierra. I mean, obviously you're also here. Okay, that's awkward. HP, hi, welcome in. Thank you for the bits, everyone. 𝗵𝗵. You don't have to do that. 𝗀𝗁𝐿, Milan, Mary, thank you for the bits. Oh, wait, did you hear that? I heard the alert, but I don't know where it's coming from. It might be me. I think it's probably me. Maybe not. I don't know anymore. I hope not. The alerts are supposed to be muted, so let me know if you heard that or not. Thank you for the 25 bits. I'm productive. Thank you for the level 1 hype train. So we're gonna get started. So as you know, tonight we're having a chat on inclusion and like safe spaces on Twitch or like just in real life, like in everyday life or whatever. So I invited some of my friends to come and talk. Okay. Also for some people that don't know, well, if you don't know me, my name is 𝗀𝗻𝗄𝗏. Welcome in. My pronouns are she, they, them, and she, her are also okay. I study for a master's in equity, diversity, inclusion, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this actually. Like kind of like wrap up my first year of grad school or something like that. And it's something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while now because this is very important to me. So I'm gonna let my co-hosts present themselves. Maybe we can start with 𝗀𝗏𝗏. Wait, I'm not even sure if I placed your names in order. Did I? Okay, yeah.
No.
No.
No, oh my god, not 𝗀𝗁𝐿. That's awkward.
I'm Sierra right now.
No.
No.
This is so awkward. I'm sorry. There you go.
It's
All right,
fine.
go ahead.
It's fine. Hi, I'm 𝗀𝗀 or Pan or 𝗀𝗏𝗏 according to Pink. I am a casual streamer and I play all sorts of games and I might basically stream to create a space for anyone to come and feel like they have a friend and can be themselves. Whether they're chatting or not, it doesn't matter to me. It's just a place to hang out. Kind of like going to someone's house and watching them play a video game. That's the vibes. That's pretty much all that I do.
Yeah.
I use she, they.
Oh, thank you, 𝗀𝗀𝗏. So what about you, Sierra? Or 𝗀𝗁𝐿?
Oh, okay, me next. Okay, I guess. I'm Sierra or 𝗀𝗁𝐿, or Gilliam, or however you want to say that. Also known as 𝘬𝗁𝐿 and OK Girl and all of these other names. But I am a variety streamer. You can catch me playing games like The Sims, except not right now because I'm mad at them. Uh, or Wizard 101, World of Warcraft, literally anything pretty much. And I use she, her.
Yay, thank you, Sierra. Go ahead, Grid Bunny.
Hi, I'm Grid Bunny. I use he, they pronouns. I'm a non-binary Asian streamer who mostly does Sims 4 and art content. I like to stream and I like to have fun.
Oh,
And
okay.
you might know me as some of my other accounts like 𝘀𝗁𝗏𝗀 or 𝘀𝗁𝗏𝗃. Yeah, that's the me.
Yay, thank you for being here. And then finally, 𝗀𝗁𝗏, hi.
Hi, I am 𝗀𝗁𝗏 or 𝗀𝗁𝗏, or any of the weird nicknames that mostly 𝗀𝗀 tries to give me, like 𝗀𝗀𝗏. I am a mod here in Pig's channel, and also in several other channels you might see me, but I also stream myself. I mostly play The Sims and Stardew, occasionally things like Dead by Daylight or random other games that my partner, the Italian, and I choose to play.
Yay,
I
thank
use
you.
she, they pronouns.
Oh, sorry, she, they pronouns?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
It's okay.
Oh my god. Okay, well, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Thank you everyone in chat for being here. So appreciated, and for all the hosts as well. So once again, I'm gonna share their links. So they're all streamers, as you will have understood. So check them out. Very well, I would say inclusive. Inclusive communities, very lovely communities, of course. So let's get into it. So maybe just to kind of like break the ice, I also prepared some like questions that people in the chat you can also answer, by the way. Well, if you want to partake to the conversation, please, feel free in the chat. We're gonna try our best to to kind of read the comments and discuss. So maybe to get started, since you're all streamers, what is something that you do or that you've seen on Twitch or whatever that in your opinion makes a space inclusive? So maybe I can go first just to like kind of give you an idea. Already for me, if people share their pronouns or ask people about their pronouns, I'm already kind of like, okay, it's not like a weird thing, quote unquote, just because I know that some people it's like, oh, like, what do you mean the pronoun? So already if they kind of know that pronouns exist and they acknowledge that, I already feel a bit more safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Do you want to go in the same order that we like introduced ourselves?
Yeah, sure.
And that just make it. I think for me it was similar as well, where even more general, just where the streamer says hi and asks like how to address you or what they can call you, as opposed to kind of just when you're in chat, just kind of being like, hey, or some people don't even say anything to you. And that will put me off, if I'm trying to be active in a new chat or something and I'm not even acknowledged. So being asked like how you prefer to be called, name and pronouns, definitely is a big one for me as well.
Mm-hmm. You can just go, yeah.
I have to agree with what like Pink and Pan said when they acknowledge you and ask you like what you'd like to be called and your pronouns. And I think that like if they have it like either in their panels or like in their title that it's like LGBTQIA friendly, I think that's also another thing. Like usually I find those people more comfortable to be watching or whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I relate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like all those points are like really good, especially the whole like, hey, welcome in, XYZ, what do you want to be called? Especially if like also it's not just like the streamer doing it, but if like the community is also like, hey, welcome in, especially like mods as well, like, hey, welcome in, new person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say the same as everybody else, but I would also add that I specifically will look in their rules or the rules that pop up when you first start to chat, and I look for things like no homophobia, no racism, no transphobia, no ageism or ableism, because there are specific communities that I'm a part of that I am not going to hang out in your channel if you're going to talk crap about like certain communities especially that like will absolutely be like triggering for me, but definitely like everything that everyone else said as well.
Oh no, I feel that. And it's it goes with what you all said. When they explicitly say like, oh, no homophobia, no transphobia, whatever, it's like, okay, you actually acknowledge that those things exist instead of just not that it doesn't mean that your space is not inclusive or whatever, but instead of just saying like, oh, like don't be rude or like don't be mean or like don't be whatever, if you explicitly say it, I'm like, okay, like at least you're like you believe like, that thing exists, so I'm more at ease. Yeah,
like they're being proactive about
it exactly.
and
No, definitely.
There was like a streamer that I think it was 𝗀𝗁𝐿 rated that like you would come in after the raid and she would explicitly say like, this is an anti-transphobia zone, we believe in XYZ, and like being like blatant about like who you are and like those things also kind of makes me feel like people like that are like inclusive, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. I definitely agree also with the, and obviously that depends on each person. I'm very much someone that I do like Pampan said, I do like to be acknowledged. Like it is, I understand like a super big, bigger streamer or whatever, like the chat is moving super fast, they don't have time to acknowledge everyone. But like if the chat is more slow, if the person doesn't say hi to me, I do feel some type of way. I'm sorry, I just feel some type of way. And like no one, and I also like it, I don't remember who said it, I like it when people in the chat are saying, oh hi, new person or whatever. Like it really it makes them feel more included. I personally feel more included when that happens versus when it doesn't happen. So yeah,
that's why I like to do that as a mod. Like if someone new follows, I'm like, welcome in new follower, even if they haven't chatted, because like they might be like, if I follow someone, like I'm always anxious about following people because like I don't like to be acknowledged sometimes, but at the same time, like it's nice to feel like you are welcome to chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not feel like you're like stepping in on their private conversation or like some like in group that is exclusive.
Exactly.
Oh no,
Yeah,
yes.
I've definitely popped into some chats where it's like you try to even join in on the topic and nobody even acknowledges what you're saying. And again, like there's a difference between a streamer being distracted and not seeing your messages, or there's a lot of chat messages, like that's understandable. And we understand more because we also stream. But there's a difference between that and just like, that they're just not acknowledging you. And I've been in some like really clicky chats where I want to join in on the conversation, and then it just over and over, it's like, okay, you guys are just having your own, private DMs basically in Twitch, and that it doesn't make me want to participate, and I'll never go back.
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lindsay asks, what kind of things have you seen as instant red flags to not join a community? Real examples. Ooh. Spill the tea.
Honestly, the one example that comes to mind is like I understand like this could be like a nuanced topic, but I honestly like if I go into someone's stream and they're like saying slurs, I honestly am just like out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like
Oh yeah.
I just like slur usage is like almost an instant giveaway that this community is just like not for me.
Yeah.
In my opinion, yeah.
I think as well, like laughing, like if I go into a stream, like sometimes I'll go check out maybe some other people that my friends like, and check out their channel. And if they're laughing at jokes that I find completely inappropriate or on the similar line of like slurs or racism or homophobia or something, it's not funny to me. And that says more about the streamer laughing at those jokes, even if it is like, maybe it's a nervous thing they're working through or something, but that's a big red flag. Like I will leave immediately. Yeah, not even include myself at all there.
I know for sure, because it's like, even though maybe you don't talk like this, but the people you surround yourself with on stream, they are like this. So it's like, well, and you don't say anything about it. So it's like, well, are those actually your values or not? Yeah, I'm sorry,
Discord.
like the names are gonna be messed up.
Discord, just move this around.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I needed to turn my camera off for a second.
Oh god, no, you're fine.
Oh my god, I'm 𝗵𝗶𝐵 now.
Yay!
Welcome to my stream.
Oh, I'm Great Bunny. Heck yeah. Okay, so mine kind of includes what Leaf said. Also, hi Leaf, we miss you and love you.
Hi, Leafy.
So Leaf said, could you talk a little bit about performative inclusion? I found in the past where someone has had the LGBTQ plus panel and not really been inclusive, but like had it for clout. And like, oh my God, that's kind of where mine was going to go. Like there's a streamer who's relatively, like they're not a partner, but they're relatively popular in the Sims community. And I refuse to watch their streams or follow them because they outwardly seem like they are supportive of a lot of these communities, but when you actually listen to the things that they say and like the things they post and the way that they talk about other communities that are adjacent, you realize that it's completely performative and they just want to look like they're supporting those communities when they're actually not. And I absolutely, it's like they also do a lot of the like AAVE slang for like within the gay community that's used a lot, while not realizing that that's like racist and a problem, especially in the United States. And so it's just like really, that's a big red flag to me when it's performative activism, and that's a red flag for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I understand that people don't want to make their spaces quote unquote like political or whatever. But I mean, like, even putting something like a banner that says LGBT, like QA, safe space, like, you have to kind of expect to be at least a little, like, I guess, is the term proactive, I guess, about, like, speaking up about that, and that's when I, like, for me personally, like, it's, like, really hard not to, it's, like, really hard for me not to be, like, outwardly, like, XYZ, because, like, my personal marginalized experiences, like, aren't even, like, a political thing. They're just, like, a state of being at this point. But yeah, like, I agree with you, 𝘀𝐿, I guess, on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets into politics too, but I didn't want to go that far.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's definitely, and I feel like, and especially for people that are part of marginalized communities, usually you can kind of tell when someone is doing it for performative reasons. That might be a personal thing. And I absolutely agree that if you're not willing to, not necessarily, it doesn't mean that you have to be an expert or you have to or whatever, but if you're not willing to say things, to speak up or talk about some of the issues related to homophobia, whatever issues that you're relating, you're talking about, or you're saying like in your bio or whatever that you support, don't say that you support. Just don't say it. It would be better for you not to say it than to write it and then you don't say or don't do anything. It rubs me the wrong way.
I'd rather people, like, honestly, it's like, I'd rather people be more apathetic than just, like, have it, just never say anything, because then it just makes me think, well, either you're a bad activist, or you're just doing this for nefarious reasons, I guess.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
yeah, it kind of turns into, like, they know that, like, a lot of their community is part of, like, these communities and are, like, expecting them to be activists about it, but they don't actually know how to be an activist, and they don't know, like, the actual, like, internal work it requires.
Right.
No, absolutely. I agree. Lindsay had a question. Okay, my chat is being weird. Like, Lindsay had a question, like, if you hear someone or see someone doing something, do you correct them? That was gonna be one of my questions today. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. And the same goes for chat. Actually, I'm very curious to know, like, if you go in a chat or in a stream and they're doing things that are like borderline racist or homophobic, or it's not accessible, whatever, do you say something?
Okay. Well, I'm like naturally assertive. I have like no problem ever speaking up about anything. So for me, yeah, like I will just tell someone like, you're being gross, and this and that, and I have no problem doing that in or out of my own channel. Like I have said it to like our friends before, like, sorry, I had to say this. Like, I don't care if I get kicked out of even my friend's stream for saying something to what someone else said, because I would rather speak up about it and say that something isn't okay, than not at all. And even in my own channel, thankfully I've only had to say something like a few times. But people say like you just switch like automatically. Like I don't take any extra time to stop what I'm doing and call people out, because if you're going to be like that, then like you're going to get called out. Like you need to own up to the consequences of what you're saying. And if you're not willing to, or if it causes problems with, you probably shouldn't be saying it in the first place then. So I have no problem with it, but I know it's not that easy for everyone.
Yeah, I get anxious about it, especially in streams where like I might be a mod, but like I still like I'm not 100% sure like if if they find it offensive or think that it's something that they want spoken out about, but like I do, because like I can be a little more on the extreme end of like opinions of things, and so sometimes I kind of have to like reel that back and be like, okay, lots of people don't find this offensive, so like maybe it's okay in this situation. So it's kind of like a fine line with that for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to see. Well, I'm happy that many people. Or I'm proud that many people in the chat. They will call people out. They will say things even like online. In real life, during anything like, oh, there can be dangers to like. No, that is absolutely true. 100% true. Like, obviously, don't put yourself in danger if saying something is going to put yourself in danger. I don't think you should think about your safety first. Online, it's very tricky. It depends. And sometimes if it's like, it depends. I've never been in a situation where like straight up, I'm like, yo, this is racist, stop. I've never been in that situation. I hope that I would say something. And I also think that depending on what kind of vibe, you're getting for the community, sometimes I feel like if I say something, like people are not gonna care. So it's like, is it worth it for me to say something? Obviously, if I'm in a situation where if I say something, people are not gonna care, probably that's not a community that I want to be a part of, most likely. But, and also like, I feel like if I'm in somebody else's, depending on how close I am with the streamer, sometimes I may not feel as comfortable saying something because it's like, well, I'm not trying to mod for you or something like that.
Yeah.
But it makes me think like maybe like it's kind of like on the same tangent. I was in a stream recently where someone said, like this is not about racism or homophobia or whatever, but someone said like, oh, like a specific sound alert for them is very triggering because it's like it's loud or it's like very visually like stimulating or something like that. So what do you think about, where is the line for you in terms of making your streams more, I guess, accessible, like for people that are easily overly stimulated and things like that? And how do you stay... Yeah, I don't know if my question makes sense, because then I was like, it's hard for because in the sense that some streamers also have their natural personality, which may be like more loud, quote unquote, or more, which is okay because a lot of people will like that, and some people obviously are gonna be like, well, that's kind of, like it's too stimulating or something like that. So how much would you accommodate things like that, if that makes sense?
I was gonna... Oh, go on, Gilliam. I'll...
Sorry, can I ask like a clarifying question?
Oh, yeah.
Like clarify what you mean. Are you talking about like visually stimulating or like auditory stimulating or like both?
Both.
All of the above, yeah.
Yeah, all of the above.
You can go, Grid Bunny.
Well, I was gonna add to 𝐸𝐿's point when she was talking about like some things are okay in other people's chat, hypothetically, when she mods, while other things aren't. Maybe like in terms of, I guess it would be called like intra-community like things and discourses. It's so it kind of relates to your other point with like perhaps like like epileptic like imagery, like really fast like moving like
Flashing.
imagery, yeah, flashing images. I think people have their limits, and in terms of moderation, I just let mods, if they have certain views, I just let them go willy-nilly, because that's just none of my business, even if I disagree with them. But like, especially things with those, it's like hard because you want to be accommodating, but sometimes you can't always be accommodating, and it's like really unfortunate to say, because you obviously don't want to turn people away. But like, the reality of the matter is that it's your stream at the end of the day, and like people have like triggers to a lot of things, and like I can't accommodate for all of them, unfortunately. So I would just say at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to the streamer, and it's also up to the viewer to also be like, I cannot engage with your content as much as I might like maybe your personality, you, or the people around you. Your content's just not accessible for me, and you can either
Yeah.
respond with like, oh, I'll try to be more accommodating, or just like be like, it's okay if you want to disengage with my content.
Yeah.
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 I think my main point, like thinking that when I was just thinking about it, since Pink brought this whole discussion up originally, was that creating a safe place in an inclusive space does not mean that everybody actually gets included. And you, I think, should never have to change who you are or your wants necessarily for your stream for other people, but that doesn't mean that you're not kind and like accommodating where you can be. Like captions is such a simple thing that still so many people don't use.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's like there's not really an excuse for it at this point unless your computer really has like bad CPU and can barely run, your stream in the first place. Like I get it. But like if you are a loud and flashy streamer, that's what you are, and it's that's just not the stream for some people to watch. There are lots of streams where I'm like, this isn't for me, or it's too much social. Like they always do group streams. I can't do it. I all of the different talking all the time. I can't do it. And
Yeah,
so
there's too
I
much to
just
focus on.
not the stream for me. I'm not going to ask them to accommodate that because that's what they do for the stream. But that's different to me going into a stream and maybe, they stream when I'm at work. Like 𝗀𝗏𝗏 will usually stream when I'm at work, but 𝗀𝗏𝗏 has captions. So I can still participate in the stream. So maybe offering or asking if they could do captions or consider captions. That's different. But you're never going to be able to include everybody, even if you are inclusive.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
like, I can't watch streams that do the flashing lights because it gives me migraines. I can't do streams that have like there's a streamer who I do watch occasionally, but I mostly just listen to their streams because they have an effect when their face cam is on a certain scene that it moves around, and that makes me dizzy. And so when they have that on, I'm only listening, I'm not watching. Or like if people are playing Killer and Dead by Daylight, I can't watch because it makes me physically ill, but I still want to support those people. And so like I'll make it accessible for myself, or I won't be there.
Yeah.
So there's a certain line of like Pan was saying, like you and Grid Bunny, like you can make it accessible up to a certain point, but the person who is consuming your content is responsible for their own sensory triggers. So if you're too loud for them, if you have an alert that's too loud for them, you could say, hey, this specific alert is really loud in comparison to your others. Is that on purpose, or can you change that? They might be super like, oh, great, thanks for telling me. Or they might be like, yeah, sorry, that's really loud on purpose. For example, @𝐸⁶ wake up. And like that was super loud, and that's cool. I don't like it, but like that's like that person's choice, right? And so like if there's something please, if there's something in someone's streams that like bothers you in a sensory way, and you have a relationship with that streamer, or you like really want to watch them, you could be like, hey, this specific this specific aspect of your stream really bothers me, but I really like your content. Is there a way we can maybe change it? And if it's something that's feasible to do, cool. But if not, then you need to be, as a consumer of that content, you need to be responsible for your own reactions and accept like the choice of the streamer.
Yeah. Pixel, that's like, I absolutely agree with you, Pixel. Pixel says, I do have sensory issues and I still like to interact with loud and crazy content. I do have my own coping mechanisms for that specifically, since I do consistently find myself in spaces where I might be overstimulated. But if a stream is very visually, audibly stimulating, I do like streams that include trigger warnings for that kind of stuff, so I can easily prepare. I think that is like a good thing that you can do. And I absolutely agree with everyone. Like, you're not, and I was telling actually that streamer when that situation happened, like, the thing is, you're never gonna have a content that will be pleasing to absolutely everyone. That is impossible. And you also have to do things that will still align with your personality. Like, if your personality is to do those things, like, if you just don't do them, it's like the stream is not even gonna be fun for you anymore. But obviously, if you have like some, even in your descriptions, in your things like that, you know, like, I'm loud, I'm gonna da-da-da, I'm gonna, you know, the music, da-da-da, like, that way people can kind of prepare. And I would not, I don't think, and like, same thing goes for me. Like, a lot of sound alerts, depending on what they are, it depends what they are. Like, some sound alerts, like, every like 2 seconds, or like even chats. Sometimes people have chats that are like moving so fast. Like, they just spam a lot of like their socials or whatever. Like, I can't keep up with those things. I have a really hard time. So I may not watch those types of content as much. Or if I know that they have a lot of sound alerts, I'm gonna mute. Or like, if it's a long sound alert that I know, I'm most likely gonna mute it. Like, I'm not gonna, it's gonna be too much for me. And I think that's okay. Depending, and like some of you guys have said, like, depending on the relationship that I have with the streamer, I might say something. I don't think I've ever said something. I might say like, oh, that was like particularly loud, like, in comparison to what I usually hear from you or what I usually see from your streams. But I'm not gonna be like, oh no, you know, you need to, you know, or whatever. But I did, Lindsay brought up the fact that as a streamer, she likes when people make, you know, suggestions or comments, because it does help her, you know, improve her, from a streamer point of view, of who wants to be inclusive. I want to be corrected so I can learn, because it might simply be ignorance or lack of knowledge. That is true. I think also, like, someone pointed out that, like, I have the dance party thing, and they were like, oh, you know, that is very flashy for me. That is very, you know, whatever. So I have to, like, you know, like, do something else. And I'm like, that's perfectly fine.
But you also have like a warning. Like, hey, this is going to be
but
flashy.
At that time, I didn't have a warning. So now, like, I specifically say, like, guys, da-da-da, and I have a screen that says, this is going to be loud, da-da-da, so that people are like, okay, you know, I'm going to do my other things and maybe come back or whatever.
Yeah, and that's an example of, like, you making a change that's feasible for you.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, creative change your content. Yeah, I don't think you should necessarily change your content. It depends on you. And I absolutely agree with all of you guys. And this goes for every streamer. I'm sorry, if you don't have closed captions, like, you need to have closed captions ASAP. Like, this is,
I won't watch
it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy that it's like, at this point, it's almost like people, not that they're not doing it, they're not including it on purpose, but it's like, you just need to have closed captions at this point.
Yeah, it's just too easy to add them. Like,
and
it's so easy
not to be doing that.
And it's not just for
something that's going to get in the way,
right?
Either, like, you can turn it off and turn it on.
And you can just have it accept. That's why I wanted Pink's captions as opposed to the captions I was using before, even something like that, because I found it personally easier to go into the Twitch video settings, like, as a viewer, and where I would change the quality settings and all of that and see captions, as opposed to trying to do these overlay extensions. And so Pink helped me set that up, because for me, it was more accessible and I know, someone who's less tech savvy is going to go look at the options bar like they do on YouTube and every other video thing for captions.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
since Twitch doesn't provide it themselves for affiliates, we have to have those extensions. But I think a lot of people still think it's just for hard of hearing, and it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
And it can be for all sorts of things. It doesn't matter what people are using them for.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to have. And some people are also like, I think as well, and this goes beyond captions and accessibility, but not everybody knows what we know. And I like to think that even what I do know, I don't really know, and I always am willing to learn. And I also like to think that, well, these people just haven't had the same conversations and exposure that I have. Until they show their ignorance, like unless they're actually choosing to be ignorant about learning about a topic, or something similar, or you bring up captions and talk about how it's accessible to that for other people, and they're like, oh no, I would never do that, people should just blah blah blah. That's ignorance. But people who they've just and it doesn't matter how old you are or what, like some people just don't, you cannot assume that people know the same things that you do. And so just always being willing to also help others create a more inclusive space in those things, as opposed to being frustrated or maybe more aggressive. Just kind of like go with it in kindness and be like, hey, have you thought of adding this to your stream so that's easier for others, or things like that. But just being
right,
kind.
and like having those things on your stream is going to show as an example to people who are like, hey, this person's community seems to really like this accessible thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I should use it.
Right.
No, absolutely.
And can I go back onto the content warning?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So I was watching this person earlier, and they have a command that is like !CW for content warning for the game that they were playing. They were playing the Quarry, and I just think like if you're playing a game or like you're gonna have a lot of like flashy lights or whatever, that it's not that hard to make a command, a trigger warning command or a content warning command that either is like automatically going through your chat every once in a while, or that you're putting in yourself, or that other people can do, that just warns the people of what's happening. There's tons of chat bots, and it's super easy to set up a command, so like I just
and
feel
if you
like...
don't know how to do those things, ask someone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's YouTube videos on literally everything.
Yeah.
And lots of streamers have a channel in their Discords that's specifically for tech support or Twitch support.
Yeah.
And if you're in someone's Discord, I feel like the vast majority of people would be absolutely happy to help you if you had a question, especially if you were like, hey, I don't want to self-promo, but I'm a new streamer and I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Then they like, hey, yeah, I can totally DM you, or you can use this channel in the Discord or whatever. Like, don't be afraid to ask. But then at the same time, like, for example, as like a quote unquote inclusive community that's not so inclusive, I asked a question in a Discord in their Twitch channel that was specifically for like Twitch questions, how to do something. And one of their mods like kind of was like, hey, do it this way. And I was like, no, I'm actually asking about something else, like that. I understand how you made how that was confusing. Like, I'm actually talking about something that's similar, but it's actually this. And then someone else came in, another mod came in and was like, don't answer questions you don't know the answer to like the other mod. And then they just like started this like weird like in conversation between the two of them, and then completely ignored me. And so I was like I was just asking for help, like, and then they just bowled over me and were like, oh, hey, we're not actually going to talk to this person. I don't know. It was just a really weird interaction, and it like totally like threw me off of that community, especially that it was mods that were in there like being weird and rude.
Yeah.
I
Pink.
have a question for you guys if you don't mind.
Mhm.
Like, because like, what in your opinion are common triggers that you personally would like to see? Because there's like anything can be a trigger, so I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
what are the like most common thing you would, also this can go out to like the viewers as well, what are the most common triggers in your opinion that should be acknowledged, I guess?
I would say like things that could trigger a like serious trauma, like something that involves death or like
Or
bad experiences, like bad sexual experiences, things like that. And then the other one for me would be like flashing lights and loud noises,
Yeah.
like extra loud.
Yeah, but it's definitely true, like you said, Great Bunny, that yeah, anything can be triggering to, you know, like everyone has their own, you know, things, da da da. But I would agree with Carco, like there are some things that are a bit more common that they, you know, not common, but more people would find it triggering, if that makes sense, or most people would find it triggering. So definitely like death, or like some games are like even the other day we were playing, yeah, like if you have a video game, you're playing a game where you know that there's something triggering that's gonna happen. Yeah, like that's something that I would point out. Yeah, flashy lights and things like that as well. I don't know about the
sorry,
others.
Pink. Making you have to move things.
Oh, no worries.
Great
I can do it
Bunny.
easily now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
my
no.
You're
God.
great.
Oh my god. I'm Carco now.
Hey, Carco.
Yeah.
Carco, hi.
I don't know
Carco,
if the others
hi.
want to answer.
I know for me, like, I say it a lot, and I think it's in my. I have to like check my rules because I'm like a no rules person, and I'm like, there's not a lot for you to be dumb, but if you're gonna be dumb, I'm gonna tell you you're being dumb. You know, things that people just know. Um, so, but when it comes to like triggers, because anything could trigger someone, it can be small or big, and it's personal. So I totally agree where you shouldn't just be aware of your triggers, you should also be working to be aware of how to take care of them, and your reactions to them, and not put that responsibility on someone else. But on the other side, also be aware and kind and caring, to a certain extent, of accommodation as well. So for me personally, like if I'm playing a first person shooter, I'm not going to put a trigger warning about shooting and death because I'm playing Call of Duty. You know that I'm playing Call of Duty.
Right.
You clicked on this.
Yeah.
But if it's maybe like we're talking about a more in-depth topic and I decide to go deep into the topic, maybe about abuse or other things like that, I will let people know, like, hey, I'm about to bring up something that might be triggering to you about this topic. I'll do, you know, this sign or something, or type in chat when we're done talking about it, and give people time to mute or leave, you know, and can come back. So I try to do that when we do have those conversations. Though I do try to encourage people to move topics to, like, especially if you see people having, sharing more personal stories in chat, maybe with 2 or 3 other people in chat, try to encourage them to move it to Discord.
Yeah.
As opposed to having it chat and just say, hey, like, I love this topic and I want to keep talking about it. Let's move it to Discord. I've even created temporary private channels in my Discord server for people to join if they wanted to keep talking about it and then delete it later. And it's also up to you. Like you might have those all the time. So just, you know, maybe you always have those deep conversations, put it in your bio or in your streamer information and say, hey, we talk about these triggering topics. Consistent trigger warning. So yeah.
You guys are giving me so many ideas for like future streams, for like, you know, if we're talking about specific things and whatnot. what was I gonna say? There was a question earlier.
Was it Leafs?
Oh yeah, it was Leaf's question. What do you think
Yeah.
about like rules that say like no politics or something? Yeah, I know me and Synth have talked about it before, but what is your guys' opinion on no politics chat rules?
Well, I
don't
think
know if it's
everyone who interacts with me knows that when I say no politics personally, I'm saying no, no, like, I'd hate to be so direct about this, so like, no frickin' right-wing bigoted politics, because everyone, I think if you come to my stream, you'll like automatically see that I'm like a weird leftist, but that's what I personally think. Is when I say no politics, I'm open to like intra-community discussions of like LGBT stuff and like ranting about things like that, but like if someone bigoted came in my chat, I would not want to engage with them personally.
I feel the
Yeah.
same way. But also, it's like I feel the same. If you if your rules say no politics, but also no transphobia, homophobia, I'm like, oh, okay, so like, not. I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but if you just have no politics, I'm like, I don't know you like that. I'm not sure what kind of. I don't know if you're the type of person that thinks like, oh, like pronouns or like transitioning is like a politics issue. Like, you see what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
For people like that, I won't watch their channel. Like if they have no politics, but they also don't have other rules that say no homophobia, no whatever, I'm not even gonna. I'm done. I'm not even gonna go there.
Yeah.
I don't mind if people say no politics. Usually, if they do, I would expect them to uphold that. I personally, I'm independent, so I'm like I want to have a discussion about the balance, and I will talk about. I'm more of a like, if I feel like talking about it, I'll talk about it on stream. If not, I'll be like, you guys can talk about that. I'm gonna keep playing Stardew Valley. But I'm always open to any topic and any perspective, as long as you're also open-minded and willing to see from each other. If you're coming at it and I'm right and you're wrong on either side, even if I agree with you, I'm not going to want to discuss it with you because I don't like that personally for me. So if I would rather have someone, like as a viewer, if I'm going to a stream, I'd rather you be open to politics, and all of that conversation, or none at all. But that's, again, me personally as a viewer. So if someone else is not like that, then that's fine. Like, it's not like I'm not gonna have an uproar about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually don't have rules listed like anywhere on my channel. Like there's not a command for it. There's not a panel for it. I'm basically like, if I don't like what you're saying, I'll tell you. Or if I don't want to talk about something, I'll be like, okay, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I guess it depends because I'm not sure how I would react if I'm like, for example, abortion, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm pro-choice, and then someone is like, oh, abortion is, it's never happened like in this chat, but like if someone were to be like, oh, no, abortion is not okay, like I don't think I could. There are some things I don't think I could engage with, so I would rather say like I don't want to talk about that and just move on. But on the Discord, I would feel more comfortable having discussions about that. It's never happened that we've really had like exchanges like that on Discord, but I'm more open on Discord than on stream just because I'm not sure how I will react or how how I'll react, or if like that's something that I want to engage in. So usually I'll just say like, oh, that's not something I want to discuss. So even like the things with like Amber Heard and like that's not politics, but like I'm like I don't want to talk about that. Like I just controversial topics.
Yeah, for like if someone, like for me personally, if we were like talking abortion or talking like something similar and someone in the chat was like had a different like mindset, but it was something that I personally feel is basically harmful against certain communities. Like I'm not going to ban them immediately, but I'm going to tell them that their opinion isn't welcome in my chat and that they're welcome to stay, but they're not welcome to like share those views in my chat because it's unsafe for me and those around me.
Yeah.
In like
Yep.
in my like that's how I would handle it as far as
Yeah.
that goes.
And that makes sense, like what you and Pink said. And like you acknowledge also that that's your personal values and what you, and like I know a lot of your perspectives here and values, so I'm like I agree, you know, like most of the time. So it's like I'm, you know, whatever. But like those are your personal values and I don't think anybody should ever push them, but it's your space and you have the right to say that this is allowed or this isn't, whether or not other people agree or not.
Right.
It's your
Yeah.
space and what you are comfortable with as well is the most important in the foundation of your stream and community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I have a question for you. Is this discussion all different topics or all political? It's about I don't know why the comments are not working. I'm sorry. It's about it's about creating inclusive spaces on Twitch and like what we find an inclusive or safe space on Twitch or like in general as well. It doesn't have to be on Twitch. What was I gonna say? I know we've talked about it before, but I do want your opinion. So there was like you know the frog. What's his name? Pippo? Pippo? Pippo the
Pepe.
frog.
Sorry,
Pepe.
Pepe.
I don't know. Pepe the frog. So that's a. How do I describe? Because I don't have it anymore. I don't. Okay, I don't have someone that has it so that I could post it in
Me
chat.
either.
So for people who
I
don't
do.
know, okay, yeah, like just so that people can see it. Like for people who don't know, okay, yeah, there you go. Thank you, HP. So that's Pepe the Frog. Oh yeah, it's available on the thing. So it was a thing that was not racist, it was not homophobic, it was not whatever. But then some white supremacists I guess claimed it and like used it for like their own thing, for their own movement or whatever, to the point where many people online, especially people that are queer or you know a visible minority, do not feel comfortable if they see these types of emotes. I already know what your opinion is, but I kind of want to know about your opinion, like about the usage of those emotes.
I like Red Bunny should start off with this one.
Why should I start off?
Because I feel like when we originally talked about it, you had a lot to say.
I don't remember having this discussion, so maybe someone should start so I could like.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that the Pepe emotes were like used for that, and I was talking actually to you guys about it. And I think it was like 𝘂𝘁𝗏 or Good Bunny, or someone that actually told me that it was used for white supremacist things, and I was like, I'm not gonna use that anymore. And I like took the emote out of my Discord server and like I don't use those emotes at all anymore.
For me, I'm like, I mean, I never used them anyway. But I also wasn't really aware. When it comes to stuff like this, where it's like, well, these people used it and it was against something or like awful. But for me, I'm like, but at the core of it, and I'm trying to like be careful with what I'm saying because depending on what it is, it might be more severe and not, or I might have a different opinion personally. I don't care if I see them, but it kind of goes back to the same thing where if you don't like them, don't use them. If you see people using them, maybe have a discussion and be like, hey, like, this is how I associate with them because of this that happened. Did you know about it? Here's the information. And I don't know, like, I don't know. Everybody has their different opinion. For me, I'm indifferent about it. But also, again, like, I don't expect, like Sierra, like, she didn't know. You can't expect everybody to know. And, you know, it's hard for someone who, or it's hard for some people to take on the weight of maybe the negativity around something when they haven't experienced it or they didn't know when it was happening. A lot of people have a hard time taking the weight of that, and making changes. So I think just being informative and telling people about it, and having those discussions is important. I kind of forgot the original question that you asked, if it was like specific or not.
Yeah.
But that's my thought.
I think there are people. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
No, finish your point, because it's okay, it's fine.
I think there are people like trying to reclaim the Pepe emote and like not use it for that, but I think the majority of people are just like it has too much bad juju with it, so we're just not gonna use it anymore. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I relate Pampa in the sense that, like, I'm not gonna be upset personally. Like, I hope I'm not offending anyone. Like, I'm not necessarily gonna be upset if I see it. I also did not know about that emote or that character or whatever. But I also think what is important to know is that obviously at the end of the day you can do absolutely whatever you want, like 100%. If you know that there are some people that exist. There are some people that, like, if you have that in your emotes, they will not come to your channel, like, at all.
Yeah.
I know that for me personally, I would rather not have the emote and people feel more welcome than, because I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh no, there's no people emote or something like that. Like, I don't think people are going to be upset because I removed the people emote. Like, they're probably not going to notice or whatever. But if that makes more people feel comfortable, actually, I would rather do that than not do it. Same thing when people say, like, oh, this language is actually ableist or da-da-da. You can choose to, to use the language or not, because for you it means like, of course, you can choose to do whatever you want, but be mindful that for many people, you're not respecting them. So it kind of depends on what approach you want to take.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, someone mentioned in the chat actually about 𝗏𝗏𝗡 and his views, of course, are very like I know he does NFTs now, but that's irrelevant to this conversation. He's very, like, against his imagery being used for, like, alt-right purposes. And I don't even think they use it anymore. I think they've moved on to other things. And yeah, as Sierra was saying, like, she didn't even know. And it's just I like it, like, I agree with everyone that we should be, like, educating and stuff. But, like, I think it's, like, very important for people to know about dog whistles if you don't know what they are already, because there are a lot of, like, dog whistles in meme culture like that. And I would just say be, like, mindful, of course, and, like, listen. And again, like, people don't have to cater to, like, let's say someone has Pepe in it and they're like, well, I want to reclaim it or reuse it in another way. Like, that's fine, but also I would argue some things in content in meme culture can't be reclaimed as well. I know this is 3 tangents at once, but also just, like, be mindful about things in meme culture that you reclaim as well, because some things are more culturally intertwined with alt-right politics than, let's say, an image of a fucking frog or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was wanting to be careful about what I said, because there are definitely things where I'm like, again,
Yeah.
I tend to be more in the middle when it comes to not everything, but like when it comes to kind of stuff like this, because I'm like, I know like Pink's intentions, like I know what her intentions are. If she does something where I'm like, oh God, Pink, you just said this or something, I can talk to her and she's not going to be like, oh, I knew, and I did it intentionally. Like
did
that's
it
not
on
going to be the
purpose.
case. There's a difference. And so, like, there are definitely things where I'm like, yeah, like, you can reclaim that or you can use it for this. And I understand even, like, terms that relate to my personal life and my identity or health and things where I'm like, I'm okay using that term. My friend isn't. And it's kind of not a gray line, but it's a personal thing. And maybe, online, one view is louder than the other. That doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. And so it is important to have those discussions. But yeah, be aware of what you're using. That's just the content and the things that you're referencing. And yeah, and also like if someone posts something or says something that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's a term or a meme, an emote or something, just like let them know why and then have that conversation. Don't, like be like, oh, I hate this person now. Because you don't want to assume,
I'm
Mhm.
blocking.
that they know the same thing or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
What is a dog whistle? I don't know
A
what that
dog
is.
whistle is a form of imagery or language that people inside the group will know what it means or know the nefarious purpose of the language, I guess. But to an everyday average person, they might not know the true context to it. And the intention is usually to normalize the language to other people and thereby radicalize them to some certain view or perspective. So, a really blatant meme example of this would be there was a meme a while ago. The meme said, reject modernity, embrace tradition. And to everyone, it was very funny because it was like, um we should reject, like, we should go back. So I'll give an example. So the meme said reject modernity, and it had an image of like the Spotify logo, and then it said embrace tradition, and it had the LimeWire logo. So the meme is we should all go back to like pirating shit, right? But the dog whistle
Okay.
is that it's like that language is used often in really traditionalist, conservative communities as a way to say reject, I don't know, like what are things that they don't like? I guess reject queer families and embrace the nuclear family again. It's things like that.
Reject
Okay.
Reject
atheism, embrace religion.
Christianity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope
Okay.
that explained it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So there was a question. I think that's a really good question, actually. So Nan said, what does everyone think of providing inclusivity to those without the ability to verify their accounts with phone numbers? I've been in a few chats that require phone verification, which I don't have due to privacy concerns, but I feel those who are either monetarily unable to pay for a phone number or simply in circumstances that do not allow them to have a personal phone are excluded.
I have both. So I have phone and email on. And it is for security reasons. But also if you have a Twitch account, you already have an email, so that's good. You can do a free phone number through Google, which most people have. If not, I've had people ask me, can I remove it? And I say no, this is how my channel works and is set up. I'm sorry that you can't chat, but thanks for stopping in. And I also have a stream chat in my Discord. So if you can't chat for some reason on my Twitch chat, you can participate in the Discord chat. So
Yeah.
I do have that for a reason. I haven't had bots really ever come in. I haven't had hate raids. So it's working for me, at least it seems. But yeah, for that, I mean, you have your account. so you have an email. There are free ways to get temporary numbers, or you can ask a friend, etc. Because I also understand the monetary side of it as well. But it's pretty accessible to most people.
Yeah. I have email verification on for everyone, but the phone verification is like some, and then it's like first time chatters, the account has to be older than a week, and if you don't have a verified phone number, then you have to have followed for more than 3 days, just so it's a little bit more accessible. But with using the LGBT tag on Twitch, people like to do the hate raids and stuff within that tag, so I have it set up like that, so it's a little bit harder for that. But no, I understand the monetary side of it too, but there's all sorts of like apps where you can just get like a free phone number or whatever. I mean, like my little sister uses WhatsApp, so you know. But no, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I do not have a stream chat in the Discord.
I actually, the reason why I had it was because one day one of my friends was streaming and Twitch was just having issues where chat wasn't loading for anyone, but she still wanted to stream, so she created a stream chat in her Discord that we all used while she streamed. And then I was like, oh, well, this is great for people who, for some reason, either they're having issues or they can't get verified to have. Or if we're doing like a voice chat or something in stream, they can participate that way as well. So it's just like easy for me to have there during streams.
Yeah, and I've noticed, like, since I updated my moderation settings to that I don't get as many of the, people or bots or whatever those accounts are that are like, oh my gosh, buy free followers here. I don't remember the last time I got one of those messages in chat since I updated my settings.
Get famous.
Yeah.
It does, that's definitely a tough one. It is true that people can go online and like create a fake phone number, or not create a fake phone, but you know there are ways to create a phone number online, or like to find like temporary phone numbers to use. I also think that like depending on what country people are located in, it may not be as easy to do. That's really a tough one. I don't think it's something that I would go out of my way. I think someone asked, like, let me change the names. I think someone asked like, oh, how could they bring this up to like a streamer? I don't think this is oftentimes, for people who don't know, like this is for more like for security reasons. It does help prevent hate raids. It does help prevent bots and things like that. During, Black History Month, or like if you want to be if you wanted to be like featured on the front page, you needed to have some settings. You needed those settings actually. Phone verification and email verification was mandatory, otherwise they would remove you. And I can easily see how without those things, like a lot more bots would have entered the chat. Like a lot more bots without a doubt. Now I did change mine. It's still phone verification and email, except, and if you don't have it, your account needs to be older than X amount of days or something like that. So that it's not like, oh, these like random bots that are just coming in and posting things. But that's a tough one. Yeah.
And I do gotta say, where was it? Wii said that they banned all viewer bots, and there is like a website or something to like ban all of the known like viewer bots, and then SteriBot is also good with that too. So I mean, having those,
SteriBot is like revolutionary for Twitch.
Right.
Oh, it's a must. It's a must.
At SteriBot, if you're here, we love you.
Right. Having those in the chat, or like do whatever they need to do for your stream, I would probably change my moderation settings, the phone number part. But I haven't done the ban all known like bot accounts yet,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and it really does make a difference. Like the this strictness, the restrictiveness, whatever, of your moderation, like the moderation you use, absolutely depends on the tags you use. So like
Oh,
using
yeah.
the LGBTQ tag, using disabled tag, an autistic tag, an
Yeah.
ADHD tag, being in just chatting, it's all like using any tag that's not white, like black or Asian or what, like anything, is
Yeah.
literally just putting yourself out there for jerks to do their thing and raid you and like screw things up for you. And so those of us who are in marginalized communities and use tags specific to those communities or are physically, visually in a certain community or in like multiple, we're targeted. And so using some restrictions is absolutely necessary, no matter how restrictive and uninclusive it might look like.
Yeah. I know I obviously know why Nian is asking this because he's my significant other.
He's
But
a shitster. It's fine.
yeah, I understand that he has privacy concerns, but like at the end of the day, again, it's just like up to the Twitch streamer to create a community that is safe for them. And I would argue that that's more important to me personally than whether I can chat in someone's chat because I don't have a phone number. And everyone here has provided like many alternatives like phone spoofing things. So that's what I would personally say to Nian is just like, unfortunately, the streamer's safety comes first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all these points. Prime, I think as soon as it's like tags that are not controversial, but tags that, if you get, you know that like in society, people could have like a lot of negative things to say about it, like when people identify as something. Like, I think there was once I think the title in the stream, I don't remember what we're talking about. I always have my same tags. Obviously, Black History Month was like more, and I'm sure that during Pride Month, people that use the LGBTQIA plus tag, they got more hate bots. Like that is factually true. And like I think I don't remember what we were talking about, but we were talking about like racism or something like that. And I put the word in the title. All of a sudden, people with like weird usernames like that were racist or things like that kind of like start coming in out of nowhere. It's literally so definitely because some tags have nothing to do with the identity of the person, but some tags do. And like as soon as tags relate to the identity, I think those are more prone to people just saying shitty things.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even use like the Native American or LGBTQ tags. And I think the only person I've really talked to about it is Leaf, just about like experiences that I've had in real life. And then I'm like, I don't want those experiences to be 10 times worse because I'm online. And so I have these tight restrictions and I don't even have those tags. And when I feel comfortable, if I do want to use those in the future, then I will, and I'll feel comfortable with the settings that I have. Like, I think they'd be the same. But like, I don't even have those, and I still, just for being me and the experiences that I've had, I still feel like I need that security.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And this goes with what Cynthia said, like it always whatever that the streamer needs to do for their own safety, that's what they should do. So I don't think that's something that I would bring up. Which kind of brings me, like, I don't know if you guys wanted to say something else about this, but it kind of just brings me to the thing about like follower only chat. We've had discussions about this. This is not necessarily as much about like inclusion specifically, but it kind of goes with like the whole, you know, like safety concerns, because for some people having follower only is a safety concern, is for safety concerns. And I know that some people, like, they hate it if someone is follower only. Like, I don't know what you guys think about this.
I don't mind. I'll like watch and then see if I want to follow them. Usually I'm not going to join in chat unless I'm already following them anyway. I don't really care what their reason is for having it. It's subscriber only, but that's a different topic.
Yeah.
That gets me, but that's a different topic. But for follower, like, I get it. Like, you want people who are, you know, that's another way to kind of be like, hey, you're, you know, legit enough to chat. Then you can follow. I mean, you can always unfollow after if you hate them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I've definitely done that a couple times, where I followed just to chat and then unfollowed if I didn't, you know, vibe with them the way that I wanted to. But I kind of do feel like follower mode is kind of an inclusivity type of thing. Just because, like, what if you want to talk to that person, but don't want to follow them right away? I mean, it's literally just a click, but, like, what if you don't want to?
yeah.
You know, you want to see if they acknowledge you, not just because, you know, you followed them or subscribed to them or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with acknowledgement before the follow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the only
yeah.
time that it bothers me is if, like, it's someone that either I want to raid or that someone else that I'm watching is raiding.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't want to have to follow you just to post a raid message.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
because I don't want to, like, go unfollow you 5 minutes later because I don't like you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've
No,
been
I agree.
in that awkward situation where I've like followed along with a raid and then it's follower only and I'm like, I want to be here to support the streamer that I came in with by saying,
Yeah.
hey, it's a Carco raid. And then it's
Right.
like, I can't because I don't
I
follow
can
you.
chat, yeah.
And then I kind of don't really want to follow you because you kind of get that whole realm of like,
Yeah.
we're being welcomed in, but not really being welcomed in.
Yeah.
As like raiders. So I understand kind of like all the perspectives really.
Yeah.
Like they all make sense.
Particularly when it's definitely for raids, I'm most likely not going to raid if they are follower only, or unless if I really really wanted to raid them, I'm gonna one time I didn't notice it was a recommendation, like someone redeemed like guide the raid and I didn't notice that the person had follower only. Otherwise I would have said, you know, this person had follower only, and at least give like the chat like a warning, because unfortunately like most people didn't, you know, really like participate in the raid. There are some people that like smaller channels or like newer channels that I noticed they had follower only, and I just told them, just because sometimes they don't know that they have follower only, and they're like, oh wait, no way, like I didn't know I had that, you know, just for the, but it's fine if you have it, but just so you know you have it.
Yeah.
Lindsay asked the question a while back. I'm sorry. If a streamer breaks their inclusivity vow claim, vow/claim, can they be forgiven? Does it depend, or do you lose trust? That's a good question.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah,
'Cause
I have to say it depends too.
I'm kind of dumb. So like I'm like I don't know. I just like it's not that I'm unaware. I'm like people will be like I don't know. There's just things that I feel like I don't know. So it's like I'm probably not like as inclusive as I think I am. And I don't like strive off of being like the most inclusive, wholesome person ever. Definitely not. But it depends on what they're saying and what they're doing. And also like I'm one to have a conversation after or like with them about what happened and see what their perspective is. That's like what difference makes. For me, I'm a forgive and move on kind of person, and that sometimes means cutting off connection with that person. I personally am not gonna let me like build it up in rage. But again, it depends on what it is, what the situation is. But if it's like a friend and they're, you know, being ignorant or stubborn about what they said, and it's something I feel strongly about in disagreement, I'll probably, you know, like back off from them and let them know that I'm backing off and why, and, you know, do what's best for me. They can keep doing what they're doing, but I also like, I don't know, I'm not the kind of person to like stab at people for what they say and do. So I think I'm a little more like lower reactivity on that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Lindsay's still here because some people did not understand the question. I think it just depends. It's personal choice of what crosses the line for you. Yeah, for me, I guess it depends. I don't think I've really been in that situation where like, oh, they, you know, they said that they would provide, you know, a safe space, or they wouldn't. Like I've never really been in that situation, but and depending on what it is, Greeny said like I think it boils down to forgiveness, for things like this in general. I don't want to say cancel culture, but cancel culture. Yeah, I think, and yeah, I'm also the type of person like Pampan, similarly to Pampan. Like I tend to be like, well, I don't necessarily. I'll look at the person thing like usually I don't think that's their character like overall, you know, it kind of depends what they said, in what context it was said. Do I think that the person is actually, you know, they actually don't give a f, or they, you know, they actually like, so it would really depend. But if I'm really disappointed, I'm just gonna unfollow and move on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't want to be like jumping in and saying like the same thing over, but I don't think like pitchforks and war against someone for something they said is the answer, but I do think speaking up about certain things is good. Like, and if there's like, if you try to have a conversation or ask them to clarify and it just makes things worse on their end, and they're like, no, this is what I meant, exactly what I meant, and stand on that, and you feel like you want to bring that up to other people, like it shouldn't affect them. Again, it's like the same thing where it's like, well, that's what they're saying. It shouldn't be a problem if you talk about it because they're public about their opinion. But yeah, I don't know. If Leaf said that it boils down to forgiveness, and cancel culture, which to me is true. I think people are just can be really, especially online, just so harsh and unforgiving. And it's like I can be imperfect and make mistakes, but you can't. And or you can, you know, like I can learn and grow, and I used to be this way and uneducated, and now I'm educated and like proactive, but you're not. So, you know, and you're not allowed to change or grow. And I think it's really crappy. And it kind of, like, not like the whole child thing that we grew up with, or most of us would, where it's like treat others how you would like to be treated. You know, we were told that a lot as kids. But really, like people are just mean. And like yeah, if you are being like homophobic or racist or something like that, like that's different. But if someone, like, I don't know, I could go on for that because it does make me mad. People are just mean.
Yeah.
I kind of have like a different perspective, I guess, and it's like born out of like experience, and like having different life experiences. But like as far as forgiveness goes, the person needs to earn that. Like I'm not going to forgive someone just because they were like, oh, sorry. Like they need to prove to me that they actually care about improving whatever it is that they fucked up, basically. So like say someone, I don't know, someone's like, they claim to be an activist and they claim to be an ally. Like they're not part of the LGBTQ community, but they claim to be an ally, and they keep like retweeting J.K. Rowling, or they're like super supportive of like other people who are outright like anti-trans, then you're going to be like, okay, hey, these people suck for these reasons, and they're like, oh, it's fine, like separate the art from the artist, like, and it's like, no, that's not being supportive of the trans community. That's choosing to support someone who has shown themselves to be an outright terrible person and against these communities that you claim to be such a strong ally for. So like, unless that person was truly like is truly like remorseful for supporting someone, they're like, hey, I wasn't like, I didn't really know like how deep that went, like, and they actually like show that they're trying to improve, I'm not going to forgive somebody. And this kind of goes a little bit deeper than like Twitch communities, because like, yeah, I would probably like, if they just like say sorry, but then like they keep like doing what they were doing, I'm unfollowing them immediately. Like, that's not cool. But like, if it's someone who I truly like care about and like want to keep like being involved with, I'm going to like give them chances, of course, but like, if they show me that they're not willing to like put in the work for it, like, I'm not going to forgive them. I'm not going to hold a grudge against them for it, but I'm going to like not follow them, not pay attention to them, not like want them involved in my personal community.
Yeah.
And I
No,
think
yeah.
I think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's really fair in terms of like boundaries. We've been like we've been using a lot of these words like boundaries and personal responsibility and viewer responsibility, and the things like our roles in fostering communities. And I like where am I going with this? I really don't like the word cancel culture and like these ideas. I joke about this all the time, like, we must condemn, or you have to like condone this immediately, or like condemn this immediately. And I think the term cancel culture especially just like is so reductive to like, oh, someone makes a mistake and you're fucking sorry, Pink, I'm gonna swear, but you're fucking like, you're just going
Could
at them
swear.
their throat or something, like, fuck you. Because I think I'm like, I don't want to be like centered about this opinion, but I think people can take responsibility for their action, and like people of like, depending on the fucking crime or whatever, people won't forgive them regardless of if they're like, I fucked up, I said something wrong, I acknowledge now that these words were incorrect in this situation, or this action was incorrect, it was ableist or racist or whatever. And some people will be like, yeah, I forgive you for that transgression, and some people will just leave. And I think what I'm basically saying is either of those approaches are okay. But like, at the end of the day, it is just a whole responsibility thing where you know, you kind of got to expect the consequences. And I do agree that people can be brutal sometimes, and that's just how the public can be. But sometimes it is just about taking responsibility and going, I acknowledge that fucking I fucked up, and some of you guys will just not like that. And also, this doesn't go for like when it's like a false allegation and suddenly everyone's just like jumping down your throat for fucking some intra-community thing that you said or something. I think that's a whole other issue. But overall, in terms of just like, oh, you said this, I won't engage with you anymore. And it's just like, then don't engage, you know,
Right.
or, oh, I forgive you, and it's like, okay, like, you know, put it out of the way, you know.
Yeah,
it's
however you want to set up those boundaries are for you. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It connects back to like creating the community that you want.
Yeah.
Like, don't like align yourself with someone who you don't agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate how cancel culture has been co-opted by the mainstream. That's like a whole other like discussion. But yeah, absolutely. But
I think I have a YouTube video about cancel culture.
I do have a YouTube video about cancel culture. It is true. Yo, hashtag self-promotion. Let's go. But one thing
Every opportunity you get.
You plug that.
Yeah.
One thing
That's so promo.
that Carco said, it does align with something that random viewer said. Like, yeah, like if you say you're for trans right, but you keep supporting transphobic people, it's like, well, yeah. But I also agree. Yeah, people are, people are bound to say things that are like not actually correct or whatever. Then I think also like, and this kind of goes with that's like a tip for people, I guess, in general. If you see something, let's say, I don't know, like if you see something that can be offensive to some people or that is incorrect or whatever, like for example, I think Carco was telling me, oh well, people prefer saying autistic person instead of person with autism or something like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying like, oh, thank you, like I did not know that, and like moving on, or like, oh, my pronouns are so and so, and you're like, oh, okay, like just, oh, I did not know that before, and you just move on. Like also when it kind of gets weird, and then because some people are like so scared of like what they're like, oh, I'm walking on eggshells, or I'm like, oh my god, oh, like they will say that I'm talking wrong or something, and it's like, well, the very, very vast majority of people are not like that. They're just gonna be like, oh well, actually, people prefer da da da, and you're like, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, thank you for correcting me, and then you move on, like as simple as that. You don't.
It comes down to like being willing to be corrected.
Yeah, exact.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or
it
just
is.
at least
Yeah,
understanding, like
exact.
just, like,
Yeah.
And like accepting that you got corrected and not arguing or not being like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I can't believe I did that. Like, I need all the sympathy in the world because I messed up this one tiny time. Like, just accept it, move on, use whatever it is correctly next time. Like, that's it. You don't need to like go on and on and on and make it all about you, because that just shows that like you want it to be about you, like, and it's not about you in that situation. Like, you were corrected, yes, but like you don't need to like garner all of this attention and sympathy just because you messed up one time. Like, you messed up, you accept it, you correct your vocabulary or whatever it is, and you move on.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just gonna say that you might, if you're not a part of a community, maybe you have one friend that is okay with certain terms and another who isn't, or maybe only people from their culture can use a term or things like that. Try to like go neutral, as like when you can, and respect them, or have a conversation with your other friend and be like, look, my friend says, like, I'm obviously respecting you, but like have those conversations. If you're on the other end, be willing to have those conversations. Don't be rude on either side. Like, both be willing to have that conversation, and being open. And like Harko said, like if you get defensive when someone's correcting you or saying like, hey, I actually like prefer to be called this, or actually like a big thing with being Native American is what the appropriate term is. In some countries certain terms are slurs, in other countries it's not. Have those conversations. And don't be afraid to have those conversations. And if you're not willing to have those conversations, don't get mad at people who are saying it wrong if you're not willing to correct. And also if you're not willing to be corrected.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's so sus when people get defensive. It doesn't show that you're actually willing to learn, like you guys have said. Like, you're willing to learn and just accept that, okay, well, you said that thing wrong. Like, no one... And like, I think no one is expecting, and that's the thing about like inclusion, whatever, safety, blah blah blah, safe spaces. Safe spaces and inclusion. Like, no, 95% of people are not expecting you as a streamer or, you know, whatever in your jobs or whatever to behave perfectly correct at all times. Obviously, there are some things that are like culturally, it's like at this point, if you don't know that the N word, you should not be saying the N word. Like I don't know where you've been living. Like that's kind of like, you know, but especially for things that are continuously evolving, it is true that pronouns, for example, continuously evolving. I don't think anyone expects you to kind of like know all the pronouns and all the right ways to use them and like all the, you know, whatever. I think we can agree that, like, you know, at least if you're willing to learn and, you know, just accept, okay, I'm sorry, thank you, and, you know, you move on. I think that's fine. Yeah.
Talking about like all the different like pronouns and stuff, I actually like I had to sit down with my little sister and have her like show me. I didn't even know like demi-romantic or demisexual were a thing until, you know, last year. And I'm like, what? I've been, you know, out here with my family and friends who are almost all part of this community, and even myself, and I didn't even know like this stuff existed. Or like the neo pronouns, the z and zer and they and fair and all of that. Like, she had to teach me so much because there's just there's a lot to learn.
And that's okay.
It goes back to like, we don't all know the same information.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Like, you don't have to be mean to people. Just help them.
Yeah.
Help them understand. Like, a lot of you know, like, I'm not a labels person. I'm just me. And so, like, I know what my labels would be, but I don't really use them. So, like, and I didn't really even think about them probably until like 2-3 years ago, maybe, where I was like, maybe I'll look into this, you know, just for conversation with one of my friends. And, sorry, there's like a fuzz from my boa from my birthday flying around. But like, not everybody thinks about it either, like, who might be deeply involved. So like, think about the people who aren't a part of these communities as well. But I mean, we could all just be a little nicer and help each other out. And that's why in my streams I like to say, you know, you feel free, if you're comfortable, to share your name and pronouns. So that we can respect each other. And that's literally all it is. You don't have to understand. It would be cool if you like did some research and understood, but like, you don't have to understand for yourself. And most likely you're not going to understand this person 100% who they are and what it means for them. But just being willing to be respectful, like, even without that understanding, that's what makes the difference.
I absolutely agree. Which it made me think of another question. How do you, like, particularly if you use some specific tags, okay, that are related to your identities, do you feel, or even things that are on your profile, do you feel comfortable answering questions that people ask you? Like, if people, let's say, see you have the �LGBT_QIA+ tag or whatever, do you feel comfortable answering questions about that? Do you feel comfortable answering questions about like, how would you approach such thing? Like, I have a friend that, like, recently someone was like, oh, okay, well, you have non-binary, but like, you also have like sheer pronouns. Like, what do you mean? Like, and they were questioning about this, and obviously, like the streamer answered, like, she answered, but she was like, and then the person like kind of didn't really seem to want to hear the answer, if that makes sense. So she was just like, whatever. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about it.
They were like confused, but wanted to stay confused because it didn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it depends, because some people will ask and then they'll sea lion a little bit, and I will not engage with the sea lioners. But like, if they're like, hey, I see you have the gay tag up, what's up? I have a few questions, you know, I'm exploring myself too, or like, I'm just curious, I'm open to questions about my identity or things like that. I'm willing to have a discussion. But if they're like asking in bad faith, obviously you don't know initially if they're asking in bad faith, but if they're asking in bad faith, then I would just throw them. I'd probably just ban them, to be honest. I'd just throw them to the Shadow Realm or something.
If someone was asking in good faith, I'm always willing to talk about it. I generally use the parent tag because 𝘂𝐞𝐲 and 𝘂𝐞𝐲 are very prevalent in my streams. And so that's kind of hard to avoid. I use ADHD because it kind of explains my trains of thought sometimes. And so like if people want to ask me about that, that's totally great. I also will use the LGBTQ tag. I'll let most of the time, like that tag specifically is to kind of like show people that they're welcome there. Like
Yeah.
I do identify as bi, but I also want people who identify with that tag to, if they want to search it, like I want them to know that like this is like that's a space for that they're welcome. Guys. And yeah, so like I use tags very intentionally. Like there was a push a few months ago to add a sensory friendly tag specifically for people who have sensory issues, like with noises or or flashing lights or whatever. And so I will use those tags when I know that my kids aren't going to be screaming and that I'm playing something like Stardew or The Sims where like there isn't a lot of like loud noises or flashing, because I know what it's like to have sensory issues, and so I know what kind of spaces that they're looking for, and so like I use my tags very intentionally.
Yeah, I think you should. Like if you're gonna use a tag, we talked about it already. If you're gonna use a tag or mention something specific, you should be willing to talk about it.
Right.
I don't know. I'm willing to talk about anything. I think I have a rule where it's like politics and religion to keep surface and stream, and then again, like I mentioned, we can go deeper in Discord or something. But I've actually been thinking about deleting that because I don't really care about really anything that goes on in my chat. So I'm like, I would rather just like have nothing, because I'm willing to talk about anything, and then in the moment be like, hey, yeah, we can talk more about this or talk about it in Discord or something. But I don't like, if someone's like being trolly or they're being mean and asking questions, I will still have the conversation and completely like pinpoint them in it. Like I don't care. I'm not very like, I'm not a debater. I don't debate things, but I will have a discussion even if you're not discussing. So if people come in with like bad faith, I will still answer and be like, you're just making yourself look stupid, so it's fine. You do the entertaining for my stream instead of me.
Let's go, Pampan. Let's go. Not the not the automat blocking. I do like the LGBTQ plus. That's so weird.
Like, please, this is literally
automat.
But Pixel, I really relate with that, especially when it comes, and I do feel similar about this, especially for I'm going into, well, I have a lot of and I know like we're like different when it comes to those things. Oh my god, hi readers. I know we're different when it comes to those things, but like what was I gonna say? Like I do have a lot of cisgendered male friends, but it's like for me to be kind of like chill with them, I need to know for a fact that, well, for a fact, obviously you're never gonna know for a fact, but like they need to have like had some behaviors that showed me that they share similar views to me, even if they don't have necessarily like tags that display that. But absolutely, like Pixel, if we're about to raid to like someone that seems to be a cisgendered, especially like cisgendered white men, I'm gonna be like, okay, like what are the rules? What are like I need to sense the vibes to see if that's a space where I want to stay in or not. So that's why I really, really like tags, because of that, like just to show, like 𝘂𝐲 said, like to tell people like this is, you know, a safe space for, well, it's a safe space for everyone, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, like, you know, this is a safe space for X people. I'm just going to mute myself from Discord, but keep talking.
Okay.
Hi, readers. We're having a discussion on like inclusion on Twitch, so please join us in this discussion. Thank you for giving a shout out to Queen. How was your stream, Queen? Welcome like in.
And them, they can deal with it.
Oh my god, no, you did not.
Like something else. And if they're not okay with it, then I'm like, okay, cool. But then
Okay.
if not, like, it would have to be completely different. Like, it would have to be prominent, you know, that they didn't respect me or that coming in just as I am. So I'm not really someone to feel it out. I just kind of come in and this is me.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you act up, then okay, well, that's not the place for me. Have fun being trash. I'll see you later.
Have fun being weird.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. And like, okay, I have another question. Well, it's a I feel I'm not against the usage of that tag because the tags are kind of limited. I prefer the tag safe space over ally because I have a weird relationship with the word ally, but like that's me. Of like
Yeah.
when particularly unfortunately when it's a white someone that seems to be a white cisgendered man and they use the word ally. I feel a bit I need more just because I think it's easier to say that you're an ally than to actually, you know, do actions that align with that. So I just feel weird about that word, but it doesn't mean that, like, you know, because we're limited in terms of tags that we can use on Twitch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, ally is a hard one for me, because like people will use it disingenuously, or like they'll claim to be an ally, but really like they just like have a gay friend and they're like, this person accepts me, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gay, this specific gay man, gay woman, gay whoever might accept you, but the rest of us not so much. So it's like you need to, like, unfortunately kind of prove to me that you are an actual ally.
Yeah. I think when I see it in people's like Twitter bios or Twitch bios or something, I don't really think anything of it. I'm
Yeah.
like, good for you. But I just want to say that 𝘀𝗁𝗵𝗶, right? Did you use or do you currently use for a while the ally tag? But
I literally, you guys brought it up, and I literally went to check.
No, you don't have to remove it.
no,
No,
but what I was gonna say was like you do a great job at actually being one.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of people who just put it in there and they're like, yeah, like how Parker said, they're like, yeah, I have like one friend who is, or like, oh well, like I don't hate them. Well, good for you, but like you're like really uneducated. So it's like,
right.
Okay, like that's not really what it's for. So it doesn't really mean anything for me. But I was just gonna like shout Sierra out because like she's actually someone who's proactive, and like if you wanted to define it properly, it would be Sierra, aka 𝘀𝗁𝗵𝗶. So that's what I wanted to say. I wasn't gonna be like,
No,
hey
you're
Sierra,
absolutely.
delete this from your Twitch.
You're going to
right
prison.
now.
You're going to
Hey
prison.
Sierra, you use this tag. Explain.
You're going to the shadow realm.
You're
right
going to the.
now.
You're gone. We're.
I
It's
actually
over.
will explain why I use the ally tag. I think of it as like not just ally to LGBTQ+, like most people would think of it. I think of it as an ally to everyone that, you know, doesn't have allies.
Yeah.
Like the marginalized communities. It's not just for one specific group of people like most people think that it is, or at least that's just the way that I think of it. I don't know about everyone else, but that's why I use it, is because I think of it as like these people are welcome here.
Yeah.
But I also use the LGBT and the safe space tags, so like, do I really need the ally tag? Who knows?
Yeah. And that was a big controversy a while ago as well for allies using the LGBTQ. And I understood kind of the different sides of if people who are allies should or shouldn't use it. But it goes into the same thing where it's like, if you're going to use it, You need to actually be like in it to win it.
Yeah.
You have to
for
be
your
ready.
tag,
You have to be
not
ready.
just like
Front shit,
using
yeah.
it for funsies.
Right.
So
For clout.
yeah.
That actually reminds me of a TikTok I saw of this guy, and he was like, "Oh well, like my wife is part of the LGBT community, and she says it's okay for me to use the ally tag and the LGBTQ+ tag. So I don't know why you guys are so butthurt about it."
And that kind of brings you back to like what I said before, is like just because one gay person says it's okay
Right.
doesn't mean it's okay.
Right. And that's what people were like trying to explain to him in the comments, and like he was just not having it.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, well, my wife thinks it's okay, which is one thing, and then I don't know why you guys are butthurt about it. Okay, calm down.
That brings us into a
Right.
whole
like
other
okay,
issue.
so you
Right,
don't
right.
understand,
Buddy.
you know?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the thing. Like, I sure, but like, no, like if someone is not LGBT and they're using the tag, I don't like it, and yeah, like they're not, speaking out. They're not. You need to be ready. You need to be ready to own it, and like if you're not, then like not like you need to disclose if you're trans or not. Like not that, but you need to be comfortable talking about those types of things.
Yeah.
And so like please don't use it. Like that's a no. Like for streamers out there, if you don't, I would personally say if you don't identify as queer, don't use those tags. Like just don't. Just don't. Yeah. I would
There are other
advise
tags,
that.
like you
There are other
said,
tags
that you can use, like safe space or chill, as well. Like things that, well, chill isn't about this specific topic, but like there are things that you can use for tags that express what your stream environment is.
That just fit you better.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and then also, again, even if you are part of those communities, you don't have to use those tags if you don't want to.
Right.
I am over here. You have my support as someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
As of right now, and you don't have to like. I don't know. Like I've had people bring it up and ask like, why not? And most of the time, it's in like good faith. Like they're just curious, which is fine. I don't mind at all. But also, like you don't owe people an explanation either if you don't want to. If you don't use your own tags for a reason, that's fine. Just use other ones. Or some people don't use any at all. So
yeah, I agree. I don't know if there are other like questions in chat, or if any one of you guys would like to say some additional things about the subject. It's for Ally, give her play, please. No, but like all jokes aside, I had when I like a few months ago, like a bit before Pride Month, people were like, "Oh, get ready for like straight people using or whatever using the LGBT tag because they're not the A stands for ally." I'm like, I had actually never heard that. I was flabbergasted. I had never heard that. I was so shocked. Anyways, yeah.
People legitimately like there's a yeah. I can't even.
some people, period.
Yes.
Yeah, literally.
Oh my god. But thank you. Okay, so I don't think there are any more questions. Otherwise, we can move the conversation to
Do we
Discord
want to
like
like
I'm
ask
always.
the chat like one more time? Like if you have any other questions or if you have any other things that like make you feel inclusive or don't make you feel, or that make a space feel inclusive or don't feel inclusive, or like things that you've experienced, like this is your last call.
It's your last call.
And then we're going to bed. I'm just kidding.
You can never ask us any questions ever again.
Yeah, you can't talk to us even in our own streams. If you ever ask me one question.
Not a single thing. Don't even talk to me.
Oh my god.
I actually do want to talk about the like the straight ally type of thing. One of my mutuals on Discord, her school just recently added a LGBT club or like group or whatever to the school, and they're getting like teachers and stuff to join in. And this one of her teachers joined the group, and everything in that group is like supposed to stay within that group pretty much. And he asked her like, oh, so are you part of the community, like blah blah, like asking her all these like really sus questions. And then like the next day outed her to her whole class and was like making fun of her sexuality and like pronouns and stuff like that. And the school like almost didn't do anything about it until she really like had to talk to a lot of people for him to get taken out of this group.
Wow.
So yeah, I feel like just people are sus. I don't know.
Well, I think also like streamer and viewer side, like if you bring that situation back to Twitch, like it can be so common to talk about like your identity, but maybe you don't know, maybe you're sorting it out, maybe you don't want to talk about it publicly, and all of that's totally okay. I know a lot of people who aren't public about it who stream. It's none of your business as a viewer, and also as a streamer, it's none of your business for to know what your viewers are like.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you need to know, like you have a problem and you need to figure it out, and so like it's nobody's business. So if you're ever unsure, like if about talking, like even to mutual friends about another mutual friend, like details, especially if it's something like that, you should always ask the person first and be like, hey, like this came up and I wanted to bring up this story that you told me or something that you mentioned in this conversation. Like just ask. If you feel like you can't ask, then you probably shouldn't be talking about this person or anything about them. But like leave that stuff up to the person at hand. Like it's not up to you to talk. I don't know, even like my friends who are very public about their identity, like I still don't want to step in and be like, oh, they actually use these pronouns or they are this.
Yeah.
Like, to me it still feels like that's not mine to say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I absolutely agree with all this. Maybe like one.
I think Leaf wants us to talk about
Leaf has a
tone indicators.
So earlier, Leaf said this is maybe not relevant, but I think it's hard when something like tone indicators is inclusive in concept, but inclusive in some communities, but it's not inclusive in others who don't know them. Is it like the /J?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a joke.
Yes.
I don't know tone indicators.
Yeah,
so I guess
no,
it kind of goes with what you're saying. I don't know what you guys think.
I know some of them, but I don't really. And
It was
I don't
originally
use them.
intended as like an accessibility thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Often
I'm with Pan.
don't see like don't like understand like certain tones, especially like coming across in text and like in a stream, possibly like a video. And so like it originated as like a way to be more accessible to those things, but it's kind of like devolved into this thing where there are so many potential tone indicators that it's too much for the vast majority of people. And I think maybe like using like /J to say you're joking or like /genuine question might be useful in some contexts, but it seems very, very specific.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually lose 93% of communication when you're just using text. So it's a benefit to see the streamer. From the streamer side, you may not always understand how someone's coming across in text, or if you have like in my brain, if any of you know anything about how I process things, everything's like very just straightforward, neutral. So I don't really assume tones ever. I'm just like, I'm gonna answer this as a neutral way, unless I know you personally. And so using tone indicators can be helpful for people who do struggle with that. And sometimes that's just the way that people process. Sometimes it's from having some type of disorder. And so it's really helpful, but I think I've seen them more used in joking ways. I don't understand them most of the time. But I think, like 𝗏𝗏 said, like using /J for joking. But like if you're a streamer and you struggle with that, maybe mention and have that resource available, maybe a command for tone indicators where you can say like, hey, if you could use these when you can so that I can better understand you guys, then that's fine. But I don't know. I personally have seen it used more as a joke, and I kind of agree. There's so many now that it's almost like it's made something that was supposed to be accessible and helpful less helpful and just more confusing. For like, you know,
Like
you want
complicated.
accessibility to be something that brings everybody together to be able to do the same thing and be cohesive. And so I think it's kind of almost, at least in my opinion, on my perspective, done the opposite.
I think I've talked to 𝗏𝗏 about this, and I think Leaf is bringing it up because we're talking about inclusive communities, but personally, I don't find tone indicators helpful at all. I would rather someone go, hey, I'm not mad at you or something, but could you go do the dishes instead of going, could you go do the dishes /NM? And the main problem is if we're talking about inclusivity as well, there are language barriers, learning abbreviations and stuff, etc., etc. But if people want to use them, then I'm not gonna be like mad about them. But like personally, I mean, I haven't like disclosed this to the public. I'd rather people not use tone indicators around me and just like say what they mean. So again, it's about having these discussions about, oh, this isn't like something that's inclusive to me, but someone else would find this helpful or something.
Yeah.
Right, and like I'm literally part of a couple of communities who tone indicators were in oh my gosh, originally like meant for. Like I'm autistic and I have ADHD, and often like those comorbidities cause someone to like not really understand things. And so I often misconstrue things through text, but like that's on me. I'm not going to expect everyone else to like adopt this like really nuanced thing in order to like make sure that their messages all over the place are accessible to me. Like it's my job to ask questions and be like, hey, did you mean this sarcastically? Was this like an actual genuine question, rather than assuming someone's tone all the time? And I do that as an adult who understands that like tone is misconstrued via text. And so it's just kind of, I don't really like them either. As someone who they were intended for.
You clarify a lot like in your streams, and I know I can be very like sarcastic and also like dry, and so I understand. Like my friends also sometimes clarify with me. I say sometimes regularly, as in like maybe like once or twice every like day or so, just to like understand exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with asking, but I think you know, if you've had a bad experience, it might be hard for you to ask someone to clarify, or you know, if someone's been dishonest with what they meant. But I think it's really important to just like take a second and mean what you say, exactly what you say, if you can. If you make a mistake in what you say, correct yourself. If you don't understand, ask. Just like get in the habit of doing that. But I definitely know, like I've seen 𝗏𝗏 do that in her streams, and just be like, hey, did you mean this in this way? Yeah, I did. Or no, I actually meant it in this. And that it changes the whole rest of the conversation, because if it went one way, it would have gone another direction. So
yeah, I'm very like, I will always clarify if I am in any way confused.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
I didn't even know what tone indicators were until I started getting around on Twitch and Discord.
Yeah.
I did not know either. Like I'm learning so much today. I learned a lot of things.
Yeah, it's really good to have these conversations just in general. And I know like a lot of these topics we've briefly touched on just with our mutual friends.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to talk more often, but it's nice to have the perspective of people who are a part of our communities because we are also viewers. And I think like you can forget, even as a streamer, that the streamer is also a viewer and like just like a regular person like you dealing with other stuff like you are. And so you know, like it's important. Not caption saying stripper. I didn't say stripper. But like I don't know, having those conversations that we normally don't. Yeah, I did that. But I don't know. I think it's important and having just I don't know, I hope everybody's learned something, you know, like or at least has had a topic come up that you want to expand on more in your personal time or with your circle of friends. As well. Maybe even make changes in your own channels, or consider changes that you might want to make if you're a streamer in chat. Like maybe it's inspired you as well to make changes. And like don't be embarrassed like if you have these conversations and you're like, you know what, like I do use this tag and it's not something I'm really willing to talk about, or I have this rule, or I don't have this, or like or I've said this before. Like just make the changes and like move forward and be gentle with yourself. And if you see someone making those changes, support them. Don't be like, oh well, you had this yesterday. Like don't be that person.
Oh yeah.
Just support each other and be gentle because we're all learning and should be changing and growing, you know, as we learn and have these conversations.
Maybe one last question. I don't know what this means. And Productive says, not sure how relevant this question is, but what does the evil character tag when a streamer is streaming something with no evil characters? I have no idea what this is.
I've never even heard of that or seen it.
Or they even know there was a tag.
I haven't seen the tag.
Okay, I don't know.
I feel like Grid Bunny would be the only one who would know.
Right, yeah. I was like, Grid Bunny would know.
I should
I've
use
never
the.
seen
I
it.
think I'm an evil character.
You literally are the evil character. Yeah, maybe that's what it means. Maybe it means that like them, they the streamer, they are the evil character. Maybe I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I do know like some people do have sensitivities, either it's personal or in regards to like their faith, where like they are sensitive to like evil characters or evil games or spiritual games, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you are sensitive, but I'm just pondering. I wonder if that's connected.
Yeah.
Like if using that tag and saying like, hey, this game has an evil character, or
like maybe like part of their culture.
Maybe. I've literally been in streams where someone's like, hey, I have to go because I can't watch like these games, and it's like mutual respect. Cool, like no worries.
Random,
like you know, like you can do that, but yeah.
Oh no, absolutely.
Is it specifically a tag for VTubers random? Is that what it might be?
Oh, maybe.
I just
that would make
looked
sense.
up the tag. And like the first 4 things that pop up are like Dead by Daylight, Dark Souls 2, Valorant, and then a baseball game.
Not the baseball, the evil game. It says on twitch.tv evil characters for streams that feature player characters that are morally evil. So I guess if you're like playing an evil guy.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Which I
that makes
am.
sense
No,
for like
kidding.
Dead by Daylight and stuff.
Right.
Yes. Okay. I don't know why. I'm just gonna.
Hates me.
It also hates me apparently. It's fine.
What hates you?
Yeah. I'm just gonna do like this. Yeah. So check out all of my friends. Okay, everyone, all the lovely people that joined for this chat. I don't know if there are other questions or if you guys have any like closing statement or whatever. I am very open, and I think everyone here is open to like, if there are some things like discussions that you want to have, or like, oh, you know, this thing on your stream, you know, this is a bit like, if you send me a message or even if you type in the chat, oh, this is kind of like, you know, triggering, or this is, I think maybe I'm speaking for the others, but I think we're all open to things like that. Like, it's not, you shouldn't feel weird for bringing up issues like
Yeah.
this. We're all very open to that, and everyone is open to learning and things. No one is an expert, like we said. Like absolutely, literally, no one is an expert. I learned so many things today. Yeah, like maybe maybe just another round table so that you can remind people of who you are, and like where they can find you on Twitch, and like what games you play or something.
You can find me at your mom's house later tonight.
Heyo.
And also,
Excuse.
it's gonna kill me. You can find me when you click my username when I type this in chat. And I play all sorts of games. Usually I'm really tired because I'm in school and I work and I'm old. So I play like simulation games usually when I'm streaming, or puzzles. I also yell at everybody. So if you like that, you can come check me out. I also have new merch. Anyways.
Thank you, Pampan. What about you? Okay, Gilliam.
Oh, me? Wait, what am I doing?
Oh yeah, like remind people of who you are, what you do on Twitch, and
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm here. I'm Sierra, and we play games, all sorts of games, over at my channel, 𝘂_GILLUM. Yeah, we just hang out and have a good time. You might get slapped in my channel, so
let's
I
go.
get slapped a lot in Sierra's channel.
Same.
!slap.
The focus alert is triggering. All right, Grid Bunny. What about you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/gridbunny, and yeah, I draw, I talk about F1, I put people in prison, all the good stuff. So yeah,
Listen.
if you like Sims 4 and like art people, you might think about me in your dreams or something. Anyway,
I
turning
think about
it to
you in my
you.
dreams.
Turning it to you, 𝘂𝗁.
Oh, it's me, 𝘂𝗁. Hi, I'm 𝘂𝗁. Hi. You can find me at twitch.tv/𝘂𝗁. I mostly play The Sims. I also play Stardew Valley, and I'm other things like Dead by Daylight or Risk of Rain. We're not like, I don't know if I would say that we're cozy, but a little chaotic. I do like to get pretty deep into the chats of like pretty serious topics sometimes, similar to Pink. So yeah.
Yay.
Well, yay! Thank you everyone for coming in. Thank you all my friends for coming. I will. You can. I'm not gonna end stream. I was thinking of doing like some Stardew Valley or something like that, just like very casual something, just to kind of like relax. And yeah, and people in the chat feel free to enjoy as well the rest of your
not
evening.
leaving. We're gonna stay here.
Yeah, you cannot.
Yeah,
you
we're gonna
cannot leave
commentate over
actually.
your games.
You
We're
cannot.
just
You
gonna yell
cannot
about
live
whatever.
stream.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, why did you give something to Shane or whatever?
I'm not Shane.
This antagonizing Pink while she plays games.
You cannot leave. I believe 𝘂𝗁 is going to stream.
Yeah, I rushed 𝘂𝗁.
I'm gonna do what?
I believe you're gonna
Are you
stream.
streaming?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, yes,
𝘂𝗁.
I just didn't want to say.
𝘂𝗁 is going to stream some Sims. I actually have to finish my shell challenge. My shell.
I think you should do that on stream.
But it's like, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna take some time to finish that. It's like literally just adding a few details, and then it's gonna be ready to go.
Do it.
I'm the worst. All right. But thank you everyone for coming in. I'm gonna take a like 5 minutes break, just like choop choop, and then I'll be right back.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having us.
Bye.
Oh my god, jinx.
Bye.
Bye.